Hello, everybody. We are back for another garden webinar. Thank you guys so much for tuning in to this and all of the other webinars. We really appreciate it. We are getting better each and every time. This is an exciting journey, continuing to upgrade our presentation, our camera, and all the fun things to bring you guys a better experience. So thank you very much for your patience as we learn and grow and evolve through these webinars and our presentations. It's all for you guys at the end of the day. We want to be able to bring you not only the best quality of information, but also in a really aesthetically pleasing and easily understandable format. So we really appreciate you guys tuning in to another Backyard Farming Academy special. I know that there's going to be a couple people kind of trickling in over the next little bit, and I want to give you guys a little bit of an opportunity to be able to do that. So I'm going to kind of just talk a little bit about why we started the Backyard Farming Academy. At the end of the day, we created Backyard Farming Academy to feed people. We understand that there's a lot of crazy things going on in the world, and especially around food. Is it going to be available? What is going to be in it? What is going to be on it? Is it going to be filled with pesticides, herbicides, fungicides, and chemicals? Is it going to be a GMO crop? Is it going to be available at the store? And what is the price going to be? At the end of the day, all of these things are more in question now than most of us have ever seen them be in question our entire lives. And that's really unfortunate. But we have a solution. And the solution is Backyard Farming Academy, because there's a good chance that, especially for things like vegetables and leafy greens and other things that are easy to grow and easy to incorporate into a really healthy whole food diet, you can probably grow a lot of these things, especially enough for your family to be able to consume. Now, obviously, not one shoe fits all with this solution. And obviously, the bigger family you have, the bigger piece of property or garden that you have to have. Also, the more picky your diet or the more pointed your diet, the more that you're going to have to look at cultivating those specific types of crop. And at the end of the day, to bring it back to what we're going to be talking about today, the most beneficial soil grows the best plants. So obviously there's a lot of give and take, and it depends on variables that are what's your soil quality, what's your water quality, what's your environment, what genetics are you working with, what year are you working with, and what luck is Mother Nature giving you, just to start some of those variables. But we know that being able to have a comprehensive set of knowledge around this entire topic is going to give you guys options to be able to steer your plants and your garden toward different routes based upon curveballs that get thrown at you with all the aforementioned variables at any point in time. So knowledge is power, and we're handing over the power to you to give back to the Backyard Farming family and community through Backyard Farming Academy. So pat yourselves on the back. We appreciate the love, support, and also the subscribing, liking, commenting, and engaging with our social media channels, as well as helping us to spread the word about the Seed Starting Blueprint. If you guys haven't seen any of those things, check out the links that we're putting down below or on our YouTube or Instagram, and you will be able to see what we're talking about. We've got some sweetheart beginning of the year deals going on for you guys to be able to have the best deal at the education, to be able to empower your family to be able to cultivate the food that they need in any type of economy or global situation, while creating memories and being fully aware of what's in and on the food. So we're really excited to bring the Backyard Farming Academy. And I don't know if you guys have been watching, but we've been in the agricultural industry professionally for a little bit over 15 years now. I started in the plant and greenhouse sciences space, got my agricultural degree in plant and greenhouse sciences as a junior and senior in high school at Front Range Community College under Diane Waltman, and just really fell in love with plants early on. And I've been lucky enough to be in the agricultural space and around plants since I was a sophomore, junior, senior in high school. Even once I got out into the real world, I had some normal jobs. I was a cook in Breckenridge. I did some other things too, but I always went back to agriculture very quickly. And I've been doing backyard farming and Key to Life Nutrients, as well as Backyard Farming Academy, since about 2006 or 2007. Official company of Key to Life is now 10 years old. So thank you guys for the support. Go check out some amazing organic fertilizers and products. But I digress. We are here for Backyard Farming Academy. And what we're here today to discuss is how to improve quality for your garden through soil and soil quality in general. Because the quality of your soil and feeding your soil ultimately feeds the plant and ultimately supports and boosts the plant's immune system so that it doesn't have to put all of its energy into worrying about pest, disease, or illnesses, and it can focus on maximum growth, vigor, and yield. And that is really the magic of soil that I fell in love with a long time ago. And yes, there are some hydroponic growing methods that may be faster. There are some aeroponic and some aquaponic and there's all sorts of different grow conditions. But at the end of the day, I've seen every single type of growing either completely fail or completely succeed. And I think a lot of times it's about the steering or the knowledge that you have to be able to influence decisions that you make in your garden, in your backyard farm, and in your greenhouses. So we want to start with the foundation, which is the soil. Now, with that being said, guys, disclaimer. I got to come over here real quick. Disclaimer. Soil is a massive subject. And soil's such a massive subject that we could spend weeks on this one topic alone. And some people have spent decades. And so for us to cover everything about soil in a 1-hour webinar is just not going to happen. But that's why we've created Backyard Farming Academy. And we've continued this webinar series so that we can sprinkle in to each little area of gardening the particulars about soil that are going to help you to succeed. So we want to bring it down to a digestible format because soil is a massive topic. And one of the most interesting things that I always found about soil is there are scientists that claim, and I haven't done this, I haven't watched this happen with my eyes because it's impossible, that it takes potentially 500 years to create 1 inch thick of really good topsoil out in a natural scenario where you don't have man intervening in composting and fertilization or cover cropping going on, and you're out in the natural scenario where you're expecting things like peat or leaves or bark or twigs, sticks, leaves to be able to break down and form a true layer of topsoil. And that was one of the craziest things that really got me hooked on soil in the beginning. Another really awesome thing before we dive in that I love about soil is the amount of minerals that are in this soil. I think this is really important to talk about because there's a lot of health issues that are popping up this day and age in general. And I feel a lot of it is because of the soil nutrients that are available, therefore uptaken by the plants, therefore uptaken by the people, which reflect to our health. I think we can all agree that there's some extremely healthy people in humanity, but there's also a lot of extremely unhealthy people, and the median is kind of veering towards unhealthy. And that's unfortunate, and it's a global phenomenon, unfortunately, and it comes through processed foods, commercial agricultural practices, pesticides, herbicides, fungicides, chemicals, GMOs, fillers, preservatives, and once again, weeks of content on just that. But we know that if you have a synthetically grown crop that is only being fed 16 to 19 nutrients versus a organically soil grown crop that might possess 250 to 350 minerals and elements. I personally feel that the more nutrient density is really, really important for our health as humans, because at the end of the day, nutrients power us and keep us not sick and healthy, just like plants. Obviously, this is a massive topic. Gut health, all sorts of things are influenced, and that is another area where organic food is just a little bit more biologically friendly for our digestive system. So let's deep dive into soil and how we can use soil, how we can improve soil quality for your garden. So once again, guys, we're getting new at this. We're new at this. So we appreciate the support in the Slack while we learn how to produce webinars and all of this fun stuff. It's been a blast. We're really excited. We have a ton of content coming down the pipeline for you guys. And make sure, once again, go check out the social channels and the website. So, in today's live, we're going to go over a couple topics. Like, first off, obviously, understanding soil basics and assessing your soil. I think assessing your soil is a really important thing to be able to do even without tools. Now, if you want to get tools involved, that's even better. But we all need to have a grasp of what good soil should look like, feel like, drain like, and aerate like in our hand. And that's really, really important. That'll also come down to how we build healthy soil, because super compact or super airy soil just isn't as microbially or nutrient or moisture dense as a nice, perfect soil. We're also going to go a little bit into amendments and fertilization. Now, obviously, guys, this is like kind of one of my lanes, and I could go off for years, literally, on amendments and fertilization. But we want to bring it to you guys in a compact manner for this course. And in the future courses, we are going to be dropping a straight amendment webinar where we're going to bring on some guests, we're going to bring on some products, and we're going to show some soil reports and how we tweak and tailor soil reports for specific crops to get specific targeted growth parameters. But most importantly, how do we do all of this sustainably? Because there's some evidence coming out that, climate change might be hardcore linked to the sun and to surfaces and anything. But at the end of the day, we want to respect the planet that we were born from. We want to respect the planet that is going to host our children. So picking up your trash, doing your recycling, making sure you're not contaminating water and soil and atmosphere and local, national, and global formats is obviously an extremely important thing. I don't care what side of the fence that we live on, if we're a believer or a denier of climate change, I think that we can all unite in respect for our planet so that we are not borrowing the planet, or so that we are not inheriting the planet from our parents, but we are borrowing it from our children. And I think that that's the most important thing to look at. And when we look at the soil, it shows us a lot of what's going on today and how history has put us into this scenario, how we can use that history to correct that scenario and bring a better solution for the future. So obviously, please feel free to ask questions. Throw the comments down below on the YouTube link, on the Instagram, whatever, and we would love to hear from you guys. We are taking our time to go through and respond to all of these comments, and we really appreciate, love, and support the questions and the input. So thank you very much. So understanding soil basics really comes down to the foundation of life. At the end of the day, soil is one of the most thriving and living ecosystems. And I kind of want to jump over to this image real quick. Some of us, a lot of us know about it, and I feel like it's become a lot more prevalent knowledge over the last decade about the soil food web. And this is kind of the soil food web under a microscope. This actually shows the relationship between the light or the photosynthesis, which actually produces the CO2 or takes the CO2, the H2O, and the light and produces photosynthetic active radiation on the plant surface. So as the chlorophyll, as the carotenoids, and as all of the different plant constituents that are in a leaf, including the stomata, which are the capillaries on the bottom side of the leaf that allow the plant to breathe, as this chain reaction happens, just like an engine, right? An engine needs air, it needs spark, and it needs fuel. So the spark is the sunlight in this particular case, the air is the CO2, and the fuel is the nutrients that are uptaken through the root system that are processed by the microorganisms to allow them to be most available. This is the most basic way that I can put it, guys. At the end of the day, being able to take all of this light and through photosynthetic active radiation, turn it into starches and sugars that then are mobilized throughout the plant and deliver mobile nutrients and also interact with immobile nutrients to allow our plants to grow, causing the plant to also uptake simultaneously from the root system. So it's really a chain reaction process that it all needs to be working together. You could put the worst soil, the best plant in the worst soil, and put it in the dark, and it's not going to grow. You could put the best plant in the best soil and put it in the dark, and it's not going to grow. But when you take the best plant, the best soil, and the best light and water, now you're cooking with gas, and your plants are really going to be able to thrive. So there's a lot of these different plant immobilized carbon nitrogen fixers and different types of bacteria that help to mineralize and break down the minerals inside of soil and allow them to become available. And this is very important at the end of the day, because a lot of the soil nutrients actually need to be broken down by microbes before they're uptaken. This gets me onto a little tangent that I think is worthwhile. Heavy metals. There's been a lot of talk about heavy metals in food, and by all means, I'm all for, in any scenario, the less heavy metals, the better. But if they're missing completely, now I feel that you're missing a nutrient that might allow the plant or you, as the human who consumed that plant, to be a little bit less nutrient dense, uptaking a little bit less nutrients. Iron is a big one, right? Hey, we shouldn't eat that much iron through our food, blah, blah, blah. We should cap it at this certain amount. But then you turn around and a lot of times you need to take iron supplements or magnesium or calcium. It's the same with humans like it is plants. And a lot of it's because of the available biology that's down in the soil and mobilizing or immobilizing certain nutrients, allowing uptake or not uptake. And at the end of the day, this is really, really important for us to understand. I'm going to back off because I feel like I'm going to start going down a deep rabbit hole and starting to get too complex. So once again, guys, maybe you guys want that. Throw in the comments down below. If you guys are like, hey, dude, we're all basically to the point that we've got a good amount of general agricultural knowledge. We want you to go as deep as you possibly can with every detail. Let me know. I try to back off and keep it pretty digestible versus overwhelming. But depends which rabbit hole on which day I'm going down. So this is a really interesting process. I recommend you guys to look into this on your own. It's fascinating, I personally find. And I think that that's a great spot for us to jump back over to the Canva presentation. So, foundation of life, soil as a living ecosystem is definitely not just dirt. If you guys have ever heard the expression, do you have dirt or do you have soil? Dirt is dead and soil is alive. And when you take this soil and you put a little bit of the dirt into some water, and then you take that water and you put it under a microscope, and then you look at the amount of life that's in soil, it is completely amazing. Because at the end of the day, there are billions and billions of microbes right under your nose. And it's pretty crazy to look at. That was something that definitely made me fall in love with soil and organic growing, because I could see the microbes. I could literally see them. And I feel like sometimes in this world, some of the things that we can't see, we're not as worried about. But these bacteria help to stabilize our air, our water, our hydrocarbon levels in our atmosphere, and a lot of other things. So it's really important for us to understand this ecosystem and the difference between dead dirt and alive soil, and how it influences organic matter, air, water, to playing a crucial part in the growth and environment of plants and people. And when we look at that environment, we maximize it for health for the plants, the people, or the plants and the planet. I think that the people will become a lot more healthy. So, microbes and fungi, bacteria and earthworms, and ladybugs and nematodes, and Persimilus spider mites, and Cucumaris, and Hypoaspis smiles. All of these different microbials and soil food web members are really the key to the foundation of humanity in our soil. It's really, really important to keep the diversity of all of these different constituents to allow decomposing organic matter and nutrients to cycle correctly. Because building soil structure is all about the correct input breakdown time period with the proper output result of the chemical that our microbes are going to uptake or our plant is going to uptake. So we're unsure sometimes, but the unsung heroes of every garden are really the entire soil food web system. Because that soil food web system allows the regulation of the pH range of our soil. If our soil is way out of the pH range, I don't care if it's the perfect consistency and it has the exact perfect nutrients in it, those nutrients are not going to be available because they're not in the right pH range to allow your plant to uptake them or allow microbes, soil, plant root, carbon, hydrogen, oxygen, and light to be able to work together simultaneously. And at the end of the day, an optimal pH range is specific to the different type of plant that you're growing, and we've got the tools and guidance to be able to give you the knowledge so you can maximize those specific or general crops that you want to show to your friends this harvest season. So it is one of my passions for sure, and I look forward to sharing and continuing this journey with you guys, because it's about as expansive as soil structure and soil texture. Now this is what we call the soil pyramid. Once again, guys, this right here, years of conversation. So we're going to keep it really short and simple. I will miss some stuff. I will miss a lot, but it's okay. So we've got one side of the pyramid, which is silt, and we've got another side of the pyramid, which is clay. And it's really all about that silt, clay, and sand, which you can't see down here. Sand is the bottom. Silt, sand, and clay in certain combinations make these different types of soil. And it's really, really important to know this, because this is going to give you that general feel in your hand. Now, we all know what clay feels like. If we pick up clay, it's going to be like really hard. It's not going to crunch very much at all. And it's going to be pretty heavy. And we're going to notice like that is clay for sure. Same thing with sand. Squishy, but not necessarily that it removes air, it just moves. It is extremely fluid if you have the right particulate of sand. It drains really easily. It's extremely heavy, but it also has a good now term to throw out there for you guys. BSA or SSA. Biological surface area or specific surface area. If you put a 1 by 1 by 1 foot box and you put golf balls in it, how many golf balls versus air pockets would there be? It's a good way to think about it. Versus packing peanuts versus sand. Now, obviously, with something like sand, there's not nearly as much air, but then we bring that same metaphor into clay, silt, sand, and loam, and we start and use that same visualization of a 1 by 1 foot box and how our clay, silt, sand, and loam allow different amounts of air, therefore potential drainage, as well as how much surface area would there be on a bunch of golf balls versus a whole thing of sand. Huge amount of different surface area. And that surface area allows microbials to stick to. So silt is kind of right there in between clay and sand. It's like this weird in between, right? And at the end of the day, the perfect combination of clay, silt, sand, plus ideally some good decomposing organic material will give you a loam-based soil. And the loam-based soils we're all the most familiar with, because if we're buying soil and adding it to our garden, it's most likely a loam-based soil. Now, there's a lot of different types of loam-based soil. Is it super dark and rich and mainly compost-based, or is it mainly peat-based and fibrous and has perlite and a lot of drainage and aeration components in it? These are really important things for us to think about, because the amount of squish that we have in our soil is really, really important. If there's no squish at all, that means there's not going to be that much air. If there's a lot of squish, there might be too much air. Now, air isn't necessarily bad if you have an automated irrigation system. Actually, growers that have irrigation systems look for a more air dominant or porous soil mix to allow frequent or high frequency drip irrigation. And at the end of the day, our specific soil type is really based upon our growing target, our environment, which is the temperatures and humidity, and also our irrigation frequency based upon the pH range and the food that's in that irrigation frequency. Don't want to make it sound complicated, but that, when you take those general concepts into account, now we're cooking with gas. Now we're really going to be able to maximize our crop steering and our plant growth, and most importantly, our plant yield. So once again, I could go on and on about this forever, but knowing the right texture helps you to optimize watering and plants. And once again, clay soil doesn't drain well, but it has a lot of minerals and heavy metals and nutrients in it. Silt is kind of the in-between of sand and clay, but it's more like, could even potentially be better dirt, because it's so silty and it's so airless that it doesn't have a whole lot of microbial life. And same thing for sand. Sand doesn't host a whole lot of microbes either, but it's this magic combination of sand, silt, and clay, the high mineral density of sand, the nutrient range of clay and minerals, and the ashes and dirt components of silt all come together to make the perfect loam-based soil for you, for your garden, and for your target. That one is hard to keep short because I kind of just want to start going way down rabbit holes, and then we'd spend the entire hour on just that one slide. So we got to move on. But with that being said, I wanted to go over this assessing your soil slide, and then I've got a little sneak preview for you guys. So Assessing your soil is extremely important, not only through grabbing it in texture and the squeeze test, but also analytical, using tools, whether it's a acid strip test just to check the pH, or it's a nice meter like this Blue Lab soil meter here, or you're actually going out and scooping it up, putting it in Ziploc bags, labeling where it came from in the garden and when and where, sending it off to a lab and having that tested by an agricultural college to make sure that you have got a good soil nutrient profile. And more importantly, that's the best way to do it because it's going to give you exact targets of NPK, calcium, magnesium, iron, boron, zinc, plus plus. And at the end of the day, these are the things that we really need to know to be able to dial our soil perfectly. But if we're getting good growth out of our garden and we take a general soil amending account of even and balanced nutrient additives across the different soil beds that we're doing. Sorry, I think I'm getting a little bit of breakout here. But yeah, so if we allow the different soil beds that we are trying to amend a general and balanced amending, we can generally keep our soil pretty balanced all the way through. As long as our plants, at the end of last season, we're like, hey, our plants are growing really good. If you're starting with good soil, it's easy to keep good soil with a general, well-balanced amending plan. If you don't have good results, that's where it really comes into play to take measuring and assessing your soil very seriously. Because sometimes it's the nutrients, sometimes it's the ratios of nutrients, sometimes it's the pH, sometimes it's the consistency of air and drainage and water retention based upon clay, silt, and sand to loam ratios. So these are a lot of the different reasons that it is smart, especially during the winter and the early spring, to go ahead and go get your soil tested every few years to be able to give you a rock solid, concrete lab report so you know exactly where you're standing. Most of the time, you will be surprised because you have way more of something than you thought and maybe not enough of another thing that you thought. So I highly recommend assessing your soil and doing a dig test. Before adding anything, grab a little garden shovel. I can't even remember what it's called right now. A hoe, a pick, spade. That's the one I was looking for. A spade. Grab a spade and go ahead and dig up some soil. Get it in your hands. If you're curious how it's draining, go grab a red Solo cup. Poke some holes in the bottom. Put some soil in there and start watering it. You might be like, wow, that doesn't drain at all. Or you might be like, whoa, that retains way more water than I thought. Or it might just puddle up completely. Playing with your soil is not just for kids, it's for adults and gardeners too. So we gotta have fun in the garden, but it's important to do these little basic things that are completely free for us to do. To be able to know how a simple dig test is going to show where our soil is at, what its texture, structure, and organic content is looking like, and how we can inspect the soil food web members like the earthworms and the hypoaspis miles and the springtails and all the different soil-borne soil life. Or we could go out and we could get a pH pen and we can take it to the next level. With that same slurry test, we can now take a cup and we can have no holes in the bottom of it. We can put a little bit of soil in there. It's 1 part soil and 1 part water for you guys that got to join the webinar today. That will be my easy pro tip for you is 1 part soil, 1 part water. If you do have a pH pen, measure your water pH before so you know what it's at. Maybe you need to take that into account a little. I'll dive in later to tell you how you do that, or feel free to hit us up at info@byfsupply.com or give us a call or throw a comment down below is always the best thing to do. So 1 part soil, 1 part water into a Solo cup, mix it around, shake it up, stir it, put your pH pen in. see the difference between your tap water pH and your soil pH. Figure out your mean variable, sneak preview coming soon, and then figure out your ideal pH range for that specific type of plant. Is it a blueberry? Because it might be like 4 to 4.5. Is it a tomato? 5.5? Is it something else? I don't know. What are you growing? Hey, what are you guys growing? What are you guys growing? What are you excited to grow in the 2024 season? Throw a comment down below. We'd love to hear it. It's very important to us because we are going to be creating some fun modules and mini courses or quests based upon your guys' feedback. So the one that I'm really excited about is how to maximize tomato yield. 2 years ago, I grew over 2,000 pounds of tomatoes in a very small amount of space. I want to see if I can beat it. This last year, I didn't even come close. I maybe got like 600 pounds, maybe, versus like 2,200. Just wasn't a tomato year. It happens, guys. Don't beat yourself up. Mother Nature throws curveballs, and when it's like rainy and overcast for a month straight, tomatoes don't really like it that much. But I digress. Hey, I'm going to take this little opportunity to show you guys something and get you guys a little bit more acquainted with BYF Academy and also BYF Supply. So Backyard Farming Supply is the precursor to BYF Academy, where we really wanted to connect with our community and bring really good products and knowledge to the marketplace. But we found as we went further that there was a huge gap in the market of information. And a lot of people just wanted some simple places to be able to go and access the content, the guides, the calendars, the ebooks, the workbooks, the video modules, take the tests, do the quizzes through Backyard Farming Academy. So we've created Backyard Farming Academy, but we got to give some love to Backyard Farming Supply.
If I was going to start a nutrient company, if I was going to start an organic supplements company, that is exactly how I would do it.
We did not inherit the planet from our parents, but we are borrowing it from our children. Because most importantly, we wanted to be a fertilizer company that felt good about what we were putting into the earth.
That's the ultimate goal, I think, is fixing this food problem, also just food accessibility.
A lot of people think eating organic is going to cost more money. If you're growing it in your own backyard, it's at a fraction of the cost.
It's been scientifically proven, like working in the earth, there's actually microbiomes and bacteria and things that are like antidepressants and actually make you happy.
The things that we're doing are rooted in real science, real testing, real side-by-side results, and they're really meant to help people improve whatever they're doing in an affordable way.
Doing a video all about a Conqueror roasted, which is a type of pepper. They're super mega really good. Oh my god!
Hey guys, by the way, I just gotta pause this and say, today is Tegan's birthday. Today Tegan turns 9. Happy birthday, Tegan. We love you, buddy. Can't wait to see you here in a few hours when you get off school.
Welcome to the Backyard Farm!
Backyard Farming Supply started way back before there was a whole Dooley family.
We started with Ziploc bags with Sharpie marker instructions on fertilizer blends. It was pretty funny. And over time, it just kind of snowballed and grew and grew and grew. My very first product ever was the Cyclone Brewer, and it allowed growers to basically keep their fertilizer tank mixed up and aerated so it wouldn't go bad. I started to have a lot of really good feedback, and people were coming back like, oh my gosh, I put that stuff on my plants and I've never seen them grow like that.
I had been ordering the product for a while and had gotten a bunch of my guys on it and they were loving it.
I'm a fan of Tate and his backyard farming. It's been amazing.
We continued to research and develop with organic versus synthetic and 100% pure active ingredients. No fillers, no preservatives, real ingredients of fertilizers at the industry highest potency. We felt that we just definitely had something very special.
When I first started working with backyard farming, was that Tate always said, healthy roots, healthy fruits.
Feed the soil, because the soil can then give you everything that the plant needs.
Anybody can start. Whether it's from, some little container by your window in an apartment, all the way to raised beds in your backyard.
Getting out there and telling people, hey, you can take a small plot of land like this and you can actually maximize and really get some significant produce out of it.
Let's put good things into the ground that we feel good about for future generations. Thank you guys. Make sure to go check out Backyard Farming Supply on all the socials. And, I just got to talk about that real quick. Like, it's so gratifying to see where we've been, where we've come, where we're going, and the support and love and engagement that we get from all of you guys, as well as our Backyard Farming family. The people that you just saw in that video are literally my family members, not by blood, but in life. And I love all of those people, that's for sure. But yeah, so, at the end of the day, a lot of people are always like, Tate, how big is your garden? You got like acres, dude. And I'm like, no, man. And they come over to my house and they're like, dude, I thought you had like a farm or something. And I'm like, yeah, come here, check this out. And then they go into my backyard, and I'm blessed with a big backyard for an urban neighborhood. Don't get me wrong. Absolutely blessed. Love my house. But I'm not on acres. I think our whole property is like a fifth of an acre or a sixth of an acre or something like that in total. And that's including my house and my driveway. So definitely not on acres. Not even the whole thing isn't even on a quarter acre. It's less than a quarter acre, including my house. So a lot of times that puts it in perspective for people, because a lot of times always feel like, oh, if I'm going to be a farmer and if I got to have a big old garden and grow food for my family, I got to have acres and acres and I got to live out in the country. And that's exactly what we're trying to prove that you don't need. We can have somebody who's growing in an apartment on a little easy clone or on a vertical grow tower on their balcony. Anybody can become a backyard farmer or a patio farmer or a tabletop farmer or a side yard farmer or a front yard farmer. It doesn't just have to be for the backyard. And this is really important. There's so many ways that we can get really creative and give you guys so many solutions with our 12 plus different backyard farming features that we're going to go into maybe on the next presentation. What are the features of a backyard farm? Because at the end of the day, I think that this is a really important topic of how we can influence property design from the get-go. Let's say you've got a house and you're wanting to do something outside and you want to fix up the property. You want to change some stuff. Or you just moved into a brand new house and you're looking at a blank slate. How do we influence the traditional, let's put a tree there, some shrubs there, a lawn there, and some rocks there that everybody does, to let's have 24 raised beds. Some of them are vertical planters. Some of them are meant for ground crops. Some of them are meant for root crops. Some of them are meant for peppers and tomatoes and everything in between, to be able to maximize your property, your harvest, but also create those memories with your family so that you can teach your family not how to feed itself for a day, but how to feed itself carrots, corn, squash, peppers, tomatoes, onions, garlic for a lifetime. That's what we're all about. And we're here to give back to the community through backyard farming. So let's continue with the foundation of our backyard farm. Like I mentioned, in assessing soil, you can go get the rapid test. You go get the rapid test and make sure you guys check out the BYF store. Check out the Backyard Farming Supply store on Amazon or our website. This product is actually available on our Amazon store. We want to make your guys' life super easy. Go check it out. because we've bundled all of our favorite, easy to use, go-to products over there to make your life simple. You don't have to go and sort through thousands of products through some huge garden catalog or website that sounds like alchemy and magic, but we've made it easy for you guys. So at the end of the day, these simple little home tests are super easy to give you your soil nitrogen, phosphorus, and potassium nutrient levels, also your soil pH range. Knowing what's there is a good guide to giving you a clue at what amendments you should buy. Do you need to be adding BioFish 777? Or is your phosphate out of balance and you need to go add a fish bone meal with 14% nitrogen? This is really what these type of analytical tools are going to help you to do and allow you to lock in healthy soil that is balanced, because imbalance and excess is not truly healthy. It's all about balance in life, in spirit, in mind, in soil, and in the garden. So don't rely solely on numbers. Your plants are huge indicators of your soil health. Like I said, at the end of 2 or 3 slides back, if your plants were doing amazing last year, then yeah, sure, if you want to lightly amend with a general well-balanced, flat across the scale NPK diet, micronutrient diet, biological diet, starches and sugars, carbon products, brown, go for it. But when you start going heavy-handed on any of these things individually is when you start imbalancing your soil, which ultimately will reduce growth and decrease soil health, which I look for strong growth, even moisture retention, and no erosion. Because if we got nice compaction, nice aeration, nice drainage, nice irrigation, nice fertigation, good plants planted at the right timing, and a good season by Mother Nature, a lot of things are way easier. And while we're down there in the soil, make sure to look at our soil food web friends, because they're going to also tell us what our soil is potentially imbalanced in. If our soil is too much green material from uncomposted things, we're going to see a lot bigger soil food web activity. We're going to see more centipedes, more earthworms, more roly-polies, more springtails, and even just bugs, larger bugs in general. As those things get broken down, the bugs or the microbial and fungal life just gets smaller and smaller until it's all the way to where it's going to be going into the rhizome. Who knows what a rhizosphere is? Put it in the comments down below. I'm going to leave that. I'm not going to answer it. We're going to pick one lucky winner down below for a fun treat. So who knows what a rhizosphere? Do not Google it. I know you got your computer right in front of you. No need to do that. Come on now. So I like to have fun with these things, guys. I know I could be more fun. I could be more entertaining. Let me know. What could we do that makes this more fun, more entertaining, more interactive, easier to sit through? Maybe I should shut up and get to the content. I don't know. But building healthy soil is not an overnight process. Yeah, you can start overnight by buying some bagged, balanced, really good soil, but a lot of times those things don't exist. Bagged soil is oftentimes produced in mass bulk quantity, and they allow some of the composting process to be done in the bag while it's sitting in storage on the pallet, at the shelf, in your garage until it goes into the garden. So how do we build healthy soil, even with really good soil that might not be fully optimized or ready for our plants? Well, one thing that you can do with any soil at the beginning of any year is mulch. Mulch is absolute magic. And this wonderful material actually conserves moisture. That's one of the biggest things that I love about mulch is how it conserves moisture. It also eliminates direct solar radiation, which then would kill your microbials, eliminate your moisture, dry out your soil, and ultimately make it much more dead and harder for that microbial and soil food web to stay active and become active again the upcoming year. So when we add organic material over time, like straw, wood chips, leaves, or even plant sticks, stems, roots, all of those different things will allow our soil and plants to thrive over time. A cover crop is not to be underestimated in any way, shape, or form either. And it can be also a type of mulch. So I absolutely love white clover. White clover is absolutely amazing cover crop. And I've found literal 5-leaf clovers the size of my hand, let alone many 4-leaf clovers. And that's fun. Yeah, when it's sometimes in the summer, it's a beautiful day, trying to get your kids away from the screen. Hey guys, go outside. We don't want to, blah, blah, blah. Well, go jump on the trampoline. Oh, we're tired. Can you guys go outside? We don't want to. Hey guys, you want to have a 4-leaf clover hunt? They're like, heck yeah, we do. And when they find one, whew, now you've got all the kids always asking you, when do we get to do another 4-leaf clover hunt? That's amazing in and of itself. So I'm a huge fan of white clover. I digress. Cover crop is absolutely amazing. A lot of times, things like any legume and something like a white clover will actually sequester nitrogen from the atmosphere, holds a lot of it into its plant, obviously, because it's a green leafy material plant. Some of it gets obviously exudated back into the soil, but I wanted to clear up a little garden myth. Yes, plants will exudate nutrients. Don't get me wrong. They will add nitrogen, they will add phosphorus, they will add potassium. They might even add other things back to the soil, but depending on what type of plant it is. But one of the biggest areas that we get nitrogen back out of our cover crop is when it dies. When it dies and it starts to break down, and that organic matter becomes plant available nitrogen. Because a lot of times our carbon to nitrogen ratio comes from any of the carbon-based materials that were once green and then turned brown. So I'm a huge proponent of cover crop during the summer, right at the fall, maybe a little bit early spring, but once you get it established, you really shouldn't have to touch it much. I haven't laid down cover crop seed at my house with white clover cover crop in probably 2 or 3 years on existing features. Now, if I have a new garden bed, obviously I have to put it in. But on existing features that have had cover crop, usually it stays. Now, sometimes it doesn't. You guys go check out the YouTube channel. There's a couple times where my plants just get so big and so massive so fast that everything underneath them gets shaded out and the cover crop just doesn't have the light that it needs to thrive and survive. It is what it is at the end of the day. And if you can add a little, it's okay. But if your plant is already blocking out all the solar radiation and acting kind of as a sunshade for your soil, at the end of the day, a lot of these building healthy soil basics are about how do we protect our soil from the sun, from over drying, and that's pretty much the main two, and becoming out of balance. But the main two is solar and dry, because once we have those two things, we now have no microbial activity in our soil, which is required for organic gardening. That's what makes the nutrients available, most of them, and a lot more easily uptaken by plants. Crop rotation is another thing. And this is a really common thing that I get asked about when people come over to my house. They're like, do you rotate your crops? I do a little bit, but mainly I don't. Here's why. I'm constantly adding organic fertilizers and compost teas through my irrigation system. My irrigation system is not just water. And for you guys, if your irrigation or your watering is just water, that'd be like saying the day after Thanksgiving you're not hungry. You might not be as hungry, but you're going to at least eat one time. What about a week after Thanksgiving? You're back to your normal diet. So we could look at planting in the soil in the early spring after amending, mulching, cover cropping as our Thanksgiving. Well, 1 or 2 weeks later, our plants are like, yo, dude, I'm really hungry again. Can I please have some more? I don't care how much nutrients is in the soil, how balanced it is. At the end of the day, you will get a bigger, better yield and more explosive growth if you're constantly giving salads and healthy meals in the right volume, just like people. It's not about gorging the plant, because when you gorge the plant, it slows down just like we do. We're tired after Thanksgiving. Ugh, I don't want to move. Same thing for plants. When you overwhelm them with food, they're like, ugh, I don't want to move. And the extent is like, they're like, oh God, you burned me. And my leaves are burnt up. Usually does not happen in organics. If you see any burning in organics, it's usually because of moisture retention, and usually too much moisture retention, and your roots are standing in water, and it's actually drowning your plant, and then there's too much moisture in the tissue, and then the sun burns it. That's usually why in organics that you burn plants. But I digress. Once again, guys, I like to go down the rabbit hole. This is my passion. I don't know if you guys can tell, but I absolutely love talking about this stuff. And tomatoes absolutely love to follow potatoes and chives and lettuce. So planting a garden, just like introducing cover crops, mulch amendments, and soil life, is all about harmony and balance. And when you're constantly adding to the system sustains itself more. A lot of times crop rotation is for the concepts of stripping everything that plant can possibly take through crop steering practices, leaving the soil completely depleted, and then moving on. Crop rotation is a little bit more of an, in my opinion, and what I've seen based upon good fertilizer and good irrigation regimen, crop rotation is a good thing to practice, a good thing to know how to do, and for some gardens, absolutely essential. Depends on what you're working with. I also think it's absolutely amazing to do crop rotation just inside of being able to monitor and learn how this crop rotation benefits healthy soil, to bring it all the way back. Amendments and fertilization. Obviously, huge topic. Give your garden a gigantic boost, because nutrients and slow breakdown, medium breakdown, and fast breakdown nutrients can all be combined through soil and irrigation to maximize the amendments and fertilizers' performance cohesively together. Supplement specific nutrients when needed, and balance whole diets when plant issues are non-existent. If you guys are curious and you're like, dude, I had this really weird issue going on with all my tomatoes in this one bed last year, and I think it's nutrients, drop a comment down below, hit us up. We are here in your corner. We would love to help you out. Seeing people's garden thrive is absolutely one of our passions in life. We look forward to chatting. Organic options. There's a bunch of organic options. For some reason, we didn't put Key to Life nutrients on here. I don't know why, but it's okay. It probably goes without being said. But, you know, you can get basic stuff at your big box stores, which will get you going down the path. Things like organic bone meal. It's a great beginning step that's super cheap, readily available, easy to use, and also does not burn plants. We can use these different things, like my favorite on here is BioFish. BioFish is absolutely amazing product from our friends over at Down to Earth. Highly recommend you go check it out. You can grab some from our Amazon store. Want to make your life easy, but I really like this because it's a 772. A lot of times the main nutrients that get absorbed are, well, all three. Depend. I start and answer these things, and I'm like, no, yeah, oh no, what about that plant? What about that plant? What about that plant? What about that environment? What about that grow condition? It depends. So I'm going to just leave that. These are some really good organic options for you to include into your garden and your soil amending profile. Very easy to get, easy to use. And we also wanted to touch a little bit on inorganic fertilizers and how they can be used as a last resort. Obviously, I'm not about synthetic fertilizers, and especially the company above. But I wanted to talk about it because a lot of people think, some people, the only fertilizer that they know is Miracle-Gro. And hey, you're doing a good thing by fertilizing your plants. And you definitely are seeing some increase in productivity and growth. And that's awesome. So kudos to Miracle-Gro for getting a lot of people a greener thumb and a bigger harvest, and potentially helping them to bring more food to their table. So we got to say what's deserved, right? They've done a lot for the agricultural movement, and I appreciate that. Now, when looking at inorganic versus organic fertilizers, sometimes people have a hard time with organics in the beginning. I like to call it the jump start. Sometimes, for whatever reason, maybe it's nutrient balance, maybe it's soil structure, maybe it's soil health, maybe it's microorganisms, maybe it's environment. There's a lot of different variables, but sometimes people plant and their plants just don't get rolling very quickly. Well, sometimes it's just, especially with the correct volume and frequency, to give a little jumpstart boost. It's exactly that. It's coming in, shocking the heart. It's hooking up the jumper cables to the battery of the car and allowing you to crank it over so it gets started. And once it gets started, then it's rolling. Same thing for plants. Sometimes they actually need to get this whole system started, and they need to start peeing and pooping and exudating nutrients out to feed the bacteria in the soil, to allow those bacterial populations to continue to grow and populate, to allow that population to break down nutrients in the soil to allow it to become plant available. And it's a little known fact, well, it's a massive known fact for organic gardeners, but this is a funny way to look at it. When we talk about microbes making nutrients available, most of the time it's through a microbe eating a nutrient and pooping or peeing or exudating it out. And so there's the microbes sweat, and that will produce certain type of enzymatic profiles, nutrients, and stimulate certain types of biological activity or plant nutrient uptake. And also sometimes it's through the actual excretion of the microorganism. Sometimes it's from the slime of the earthworm. Sometimes it's from the poop of a bug. There's a lot of different things going on there, but sometimes plants need a jump start. And sometimes inorganic fertilizers can be a great way to do that. Now, with any inorganic fertilizer, disclaimer, look into the company. Do you support them? This is up to you, based upon your values, your beliefs, your morals, and your wallet, or your vote, as I like to call it now, because anybody's vote, yes, it comes down to a piece of paper, 2024. But it also comes down to what you spend your money on. So vote for what you want to support. I'm not here to tell you what you should support. That's up to you. So figure out what you want to support. Look into the companies. What have they done in history? What are they going to do in the future? How do they treat their employees? How ecologically friendly are these products for the planet? And a lot of other things, because there are a lot of products out there. There's a lot of choices, and the choice is on you to determine which product you like the best. Opt for organic whenever possible, and if you need a faster breakdown organic, definitely check out some of the Key to Life nutrients. That's what they're all about. Or just give us a call. Hit us up, throw a comment down below. That's what we're all about. Or if you guys are like, hey, I've got an actual farm here or a greenhouse operation, sounds like you know some stuff about large scale cultivation. I mean, I have gone into 3 and 4 million square foot greenhouses and helped them to optimize all sorts of things and reduce their costs and increase the return on investment by significant percentages. So sometimes you guys might be like, hey man, I'm an actual farmer, I'm an actual greenhouse grower, this is my actual business. I love what you're saying, and I can tell that you're holding back and you're only giving us 1% of the iceberg. And I want to actually hire you, and I want to bring you into my farm, and I want to fly you out here. Hit us up. I do consulting for farms and agricultural operations, and I've been doing it for a very long time. So feel free to hit us up, because we can help you with all sorts of things like sustainable practices. Water conservation and water usage is one of the biggest ones now. Just throwing it out for you guys. We're about 6 minutes after the hour. We're going a little overtime here. Thank you for your support, engagement, and attention. But when it comes to water, there's a lot of things that we've talked about that really need a much deeper dive. Probably in the future, we will be doing a whole webinar just on water conservation. How do we conserve and utilize and optimize the water and the usage that we already have? Because that is way too big for me to start going down any rabbit hole in any depth for the amount of time that we're already over. So I'm going to save that. But obviously drip irrigation and high frequency, low volume irrigating is the key to moisture maximization at the right time of day. Mulch helps a significant amount. I can't even underestimate how much mulching, whether it's with plastic, dead material, or living plants, helps you to retain moisture. It is absolutely amazing. So look at these little eggplant here. They're looking good. Love it. Water deeply and less often for happy roots and healthy soil when you're in a high moisture retention area. When you're in a low moisture retention area, it's the exact opposite. So there's always variables. There's always variables. And that's what we like to get at. If you guys ever see the slides and you're like, well, it says one thing and you're kind of saying the other, you know why? Because that's gardening. One answer is over here and one answer is over here on the exact same topic. That's the crazy thing sometimes. It's wild. When we look at a well-balanced soil food web system and garden, we're going to see tons of pollinators. And we're going to create a little paradise for them, which allow them to get their nectar and to attract other pollinators, bees, butterflies, their mates, other species of that same type of bug. And at the end of the day, this is extremely vital. I think that a lot of us adults need to go and watch the Bee movie. If you guys haven't seen the Bee movie, it's a great one. It is a kid's movie, but I do recommend it. It's entertaining. Get your kiddos out, get your nieces and nephews out, get your cousins out, get whoever out, get your neighbors' kids out. Go watch the Bee movie, because I think it instills a really important lesson that we owe more to the bees than we can possibly even comprehend. They really support a lot of our soil, or a lot of our food system is supported by bees. We owe our little friends here, thanks little guy, for everything that you're doing. They're working hard all day, every day for us. Sometimes they get ignored. Sometimes the environment is hard for them. So we got to stand up for them, whether it's man-inflicted issues in the environment or Mother Nature-inflicted issues in the environment. We need to watch out for our pollinator friends, because when they go, we go. That's for sure. Plant a variety of blooms throughout the season to avoid pesticides harmful to these tiny heroes. And that's exactly true. Did you guys know that bees eat aphids? They also eat spider mites. And they also eat a lot of bad bugs. Yes, they like to slurp up nectar, but they also eat bugs in your garden. So It's pretty cool. Every type of bug that you introduce into your garden has some type of beneficial reaction, even a bad bug. Why? Because it's food for the good bugs. And the more food for the good bugs, the more that the good bugs can establish to have more population to take out more of the bad bugs. And then once the bad bugs are gone, the good bugs move elsewhere. Leave the leaves. Leave the leaves. I have a whole video on this on Instagram recently. My neighbors right now are probably like, dude, you're like the guy that makes his house look all super nice all summer, and during the winter it looks like crap because I just let everything fall and I just leave it. You know why? Because I want my little beneficial bug friends and soil food web, soil health building friends to stay around as long as absolutely possible. And sometimes by us leaving these leaf piles, and one leaf pile is this thick, and another one's this thick, and another one's completely gone, and another one's this thick, and some of it's breaking down over here, and some of it's not broken down over there. That allows all of these soil food web creatures and friends to be able to hide from the elements, hide from the cold, hide from the sun, hide from the air, and also even hide from predators. There's a lot of ways that leaving leaves on the ground, even outside of your beds where you're actually gardening, keeps more beneficial biology and more pollinators on your property. And I think that that is essential. There is a time of year where you can go and clean it up, and that's early spring, right? When you're getting your soil amending, when you got your soil test done, you're like, all right, most of the winter's over. We got like 8 to 12 weeks of winter left. Maybe at that point, you clean it up a little bit and leave it only in the beds, you know? But I digress. Let fallen leaves lie. And remember this. Healthy soil is the foundation of a thriving garden, a gift for future generations, and a vital part for our planet's health. By understanding, assessing, building, and nurturing your soil, you're not just growing plants, you're cultivating a vibrant ecosystem, brimming and beaming with life. And that couldn't be anything further. That's so close to the truth for us. But at the end of the day, we got to thank you guys. I know it wasn't perfect. I was stumbling a little bit today. I don't know why. Normally I don't stumble like that. But, you know, it is what it is. I was also doing like 15 things like up until 1 minute before this thing started. So if you guys understand that we're humans, you understand that we're new at webinars and we're getting better every time, throw us a thumbs up. It's all good. We're all human, right? But at the end of the day, we're going to keep getting better. And we look forward to the next webinar. The next webinar is actually in 2 Thursdays from now. So today is the 11th. In 2 weeks from today, I will be back from my international travels, and we are going to be doing another webinar. And I think you guys are going to like what it's going to be on. I kind of teased it today. Make sure you keep your inbox open and for the invite, or click the link in this video to see what we got cooking for next time. But we wanted to end it with, let's grow together. Let's make the world a better place. Let's create a better world. I'm Tate Dooley with Backyard Farming Academy, and your gardening friend. We'll see you next time. Have a great day.